Well, Laura Carmichael, finishing up your sixth season of shooting on Downton Abbey. I guess that last season will be airing in the UK in a few months, and then over here in America starting in January. Tell us first, where are you in the production cycle here?
Well, so we started in February and we will finish mid-August. So we're nearly there. We're well on the way, and it's starting to feel a bit emotional, to be honest. We're starting to get a bit nostalgic and realizing it's the last one.
When you do hit that final moment and they say that's a series wrap for Laura Carmichael, how will you react? What's going to happen?
I'm sure I will cry. Someone asked us the other day, went round and asked each of the cast who they think will cry the most, and they all said me, apparently. But I'm sure I will be emotional. It's been 6 years, and this job's completely transformed my life and my career, and I'm so grateful to it. And everyone's become like family. So.
Who would be the least likely to get emotional? Who would be shocking to you if you saw them crying over to the side?
Oh, I don't know. I think everyone will be a bit soppy, really. I think maybe Rob James Collier, he'll just make loads of jokes about it. He'll be soft on the inside, but yeah, making loads of gags, I bet.
Sometimes those are the ones that find themselves not reacting the way they thought, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone will be really sad. So I don't think we can predict really how it will feel, because it's just been such a huge chapter for all of us.
Listen, I've interviewed Julian Fellows a couple of weeks ago, and he still was working on the finale. So I don't know if that's been turned into you yet. And I interviewed Gareth Neame last week. And one question I asked him was what storyline from the last year, the fifth season, maybe was his most favorite or most interesting to him. And he said yours. He said you, as a character, have grown so much over this time from when we first saw you until, such a strong businesswoman now, and going after her daughter in a way that was going to, mess things up with her family, but she didn't care anymore. Let's talk about the fifth season and what that meant to you, that they wrote so many good, strong moments for you.
It was great. I mean, I really felt she really has evolved Edith as a character over the series. So, but yeah, last year I think probably was a really special one, because it sort of saw her quite isolated from the rest of the gang. I found myself doing lots of scenes without them. But yeah, going through this turmoil of being separated from her daughter, and being without Michael, her lover, not knowing what had happened to him. So it was a very kind of isolating and quite sort of emotional journey that she was on. But it was beautiful. Every script, moved me. And Julian I think he writes for women so beautifully, and he's really interested with the time frame. In pre-war and the war in the 20s, he's shown us such interesting changes for women. And I think Edith has got this huge challenge of having had this child out of wedlock, and you really feel for her and see the challenges that it would have arisen from having a child out of wedlock, and it's heartbreaking. So it was a good year.
Did you feel like this same version of Edith here in season 5 would have been able to? Would she have been strong enough 3 or 4 years earlier to do that?
I don't think so. No, I think the war did a lot for women of this era, and certainly for Edith, it gave. She discovered a role for herself. She discovered what it was like to feel useful and to be independent of her family and work the farm. And then when their house became a convalescent home, she found a sort of more caring side of herself there. So I think she really did grow up and change, and I think she would be surprised, sort of series 1 Edith would be surprised at where she ended up. I think she sort of thought she had all the answers, and then was sort of hit by life happening. So yeah, I think she's grown into a much stronger character than where we started with her.
Why is she in such a battle with Mary? Why are they so, I wouldn't call them enemies, but they just are different people, aren't they?
They are. And I think I think they're both quite similar, really. They're both stubborn, and they know each other probably better than anyone else. Sort of understand each other and knows what winds the other one up. And I think we've seen a few times now how Edith might have, extended a hand to Mary a bit and saying, shall this be a time where we kind of see eye to eye? And Mary has always slapped it down a bit. But I think they're both responsible for that, really. It started with Patrick. That's how we met the two girls. Mary was engaged to marry Patrick, and Edith was in love with him, and he didn't know she was alive, we think. So, yeah, and he was the cousin who died in the Titanic. So that's where we met them, when they're already so, in loggerheads, really. And Edith from a place of heartache. And that sort of led her to be really quite frosty and bitchy at times. So, it's only gotten worse as the years have gone on, in a way. And even though they've both lost their partners, and you'd think that there'd be a moment, when they lost Sybil, that they could be kinder to one another, that never seems to happen with these women.
One thing about your storyline was it was just filled with secrets. Certain people knew things, certain people were figuring out things. And ultimately, two people I want to ask you about along those lines. One, just as an actress, as you read the script, were you surprised at the reaction from your mother, played by Elizabeth McGovern,
mm-hmm.
when she finds out?
With the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was great. I think what Elizabeth really felt with the storyline, and Julian wrote so beautifully, was that feeling of, she was just disappointed that she wasn't the first person she told. And I think, that was sort of heartbreaking for her, to think that Edith couldn't tell her and come to her with this secret, that she would speak to Rosamond before she spoke to her. But both Cora and then Robert are sort of surprisingly supportive of Edith, and even Violet, played by Maggie Smith. They're even though there's this sort of moral standpoint, they're all aware that people can make mistakes, and these things happen. It's then what you do with that as you go forward, really. And they've all been. She's got away pretty lightly, Edith, considering.
Yeah, I think ultimately we figured the mother, once she found out, was going to be like she has on other issues over the years. Okay, this is a problem, but let's figure this thing out, how we can handle it. But the father, I just was not expecting him to just be, okay, I get it.
I know. And it was great. It sort of surprised all of us, I think, really. But I think Robert actually, he is a very kind-hearted man. And I think what Hugh's always said, and what's been written and reflected in the stories, is that that's kind of Cora's effect on him. So this sort of more modern woman, this American in his life, who teaches him how to be in touch with his emotions a bit more, rather than this stuffy old English lord. I think she sort of softens him and helps him adjust to a more modern world in a changing world, and to be a better sort of father to these girls, I think.
Tell us about working with Maggie Smith, a legend in the acting world, a two-time Oscar winner, won a bunch of Emmy Awards, a couple just for this role here, and you had some great scenes with her this year. Yeah,
she's amazing. She's so funny and so generous. She sort of loves to share stories about, Laurence Olivier and, the amazing jobs that she's done. And she's, from the get-go, from the first day, particularly with myself and Michelle and Jess, who play the daughters, she was so kind and made us feel so at ease and made us laugh. And that's only carried on. I feel really lucky to be so supported by her, and so lucky that I get to watch her work, because it really is incredible. Every take is different. Every line, she finds a new way of making it hilarious or heartbreaking. She's got a real unique quality, I think.
Yeah, she had some secrets in her past too this year.
Yeah, I know. It was really nice to see that, actually, to see a bit of her past. And I think that's it, you know, even though they were of a different generation and we sort of maybe couldn't write them off as being, you know, sort of perfect or sticking by all the rules. People are just people, and they make mistakes and they fall in love and they, you know, have secret love affairs with Russian princes. You know, it happens.
I think that helped her when your situation was happening at the same time she was sort of going through, you know, the memory of that with seeing that man again. I think
Yeah,
that the combination of the two helped her to sort of embrace your situation better.
definitely. I think that's it. And I think Julian does that. He sort of weaves it so beautifully so you can see, you know, where they're coming from and remind you of, yeah, of her past, and show, you know, our audience what she was like when she was Edith's age. And you know, and to show that it doesn't go away just because, you know, you've grown older. I love those scenes.
But after all the secrets are told to everybody, as last season ended, I'm sure this gets addressed as the new season begins that we'll see in a few months, is don't tell Mary. Don't tell Mary. So Mary's like the only one that doesn't know as we last see you all.
Yeah, she's kind of being a bit slow on the uptake of this secret. Everyone else has figured it out. But I love it. It sort of just shows how, you know, disinterested with Edith she is. But yeah, it's hanging over her. She's the last one in the house who doesn't know, and she's sort of the one who mustn't find out.
We're an awards website, so I want to ask you a couple of awards related questions. One, you were all so thrilled here a few months ago at the SAG Awards. You win yet another Best Ensemble Award. What was it like being all together that evening and then going up on stage?
It was so great. I can't tell you how surprised we were. I sort of want to apologise for our completely ad hoc made up speech. We were so not expecting it. We really were overwhelmed, and it's such a brilliant award. We're so we do feel like an ensemble show, and it's so wonderful that SAG have honoured us now, and honoured us twice, which is incredible. We're really, really proud of those awards.
Do they let you take that on the plane going home, or do they send it to you later?
I took that home. It's really heavy. I carried that through the airport, and had to take it out when it
They didn't consider that like a weapon at the airport?
They were like, "What on earth is this?" I was like, "It's a SAG award. It's mine." So yeah, it was a thrill. It was amazing.
So many, almost every other award in existence, you know, is for a single performance. So I love that that they do that for the comedy and the drama there and on TV, and of course the film, because you are a large ensemble and some of you get singled out for this award and that award, and then there's a lot of people that it makes that whole team working together is what makes the show work.
Definitely, and it's sort of, it does feel like one huge family, and our cast and our crew is, you know, most of us have worked together now for 6 years, so it's really nice to get something that feels really inclusive of that.
And you're on the Emmy ballot that just was released, and the voters are voting right now. And one of my editors and I were chatting just a few days ago when we were setting up this interview with you, and I just said, I think you were the MVP of this season. I think you had the biggest storyline, the one that impacted everybody else the most, and you've grown so much as a character. I just would love to see you get nominated at the Emmys in a few weeks.
That'd be lovely. Thank you. That's lovely of me to say. It feels completely crazy. I can't tell you. It's, you know, it's still a surprise. I know that we've been going a while now, and you know, it's going really well. But for me, this is my first TV job, so the fact that we're in this category and in this position, it genuinely still blows my mind. I can't tell you.
Well, you had to feel somewhat that way too when you were getting script after script last season and going, wow, what did I do to deserve such gold here?
Yeah, no, it is the lovely thing about working on an ongoing drama, is that you know that, you know, Julian is sat writing with you in mind. So it's really great when you think, okay, he's going to trust me with this big storyline and, you know, see where it takes us. And I love it. It's such a privilege to get that.
And now that you're finishing up, I know you can't reveal much, but you're happy with where they're taking you here in season 6?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. The scripts are really, really good, and yeah, they're not holding back. There's some great things.
Well, as I told somebody that was finishing up their show a few months ago, I just said, when you get to a final season, just everything, no holds barred. Anything could happen. Yeah. Anything could happen to anybody. You don't have anything holding you back.
I know, that's it. And yeah,
which is scary too as a viewer.
Definitely. And I think we're all really aware that we're sort of carrying it through now, and we have this really loyal audience, and we want to finish it in the best way possible, and continue to do the show as best we can, and in the style with which people love. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure on Julian, bless him.
Yeah, you don't have too many shows where one person writes every word.
That's it. And he honestly is. He's the only writer. It's all him. So yeah, it's a lot.
Well, listen, thank you so much. As I mentioned, we're excited to have you on that Emmy ballot, and I'm hoping to see good things from that. But either way, I know you're thrilled to be wrapping up the show, and can't wait for us to all see what happens next.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been lovely.